Okay, this is video number 4 on our gel electrophoresis project, and in this video we're finally going to make things move. But before we start, make sure you make a copy of your project and save it as gel electro copy. Mine is now copy number 3, so make sure you have a new copy if you've done this before. Alright, the plan. We're going to choose one of the compounds and animate it, and this is going to be a motion tween, and we'll talk about what a motion tween is as we go. I will use the bottommost compound, and I'm going to move it, not moor it, but I'm going to move it almost all the way across the gel, and I will do a second one, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to finish. We'll talk about what you have to do for the mixture, but for the moment let's just worry about getting things going. Alright, the first thing you want to do is make sure you've locked all of the layers, and then unlock only the layer you want to work with. The decisions we have to make is how far is each of the compounds going to move and how fast will it move. We'll discuss this, and the decision we make for the first compound will then be the decision we effectively make for all of them. All right. For my compound, I'm going to move it most of the way across the gel toward the positive charge. Now, here's the deal. If after we have done this, we find out that it really should have moved toward the negative charge, that's no real big deal, because we can change which pole is on which side, so that's no big deal. All right, now, how far and how fast? I have made a rough determination that we're going to have this thing tween for about 5 seconds. So the animation of the movement is going to last 5 seconds. The frame rate is 12 frames per second, so that'd be a total of 60 frames. Since we put our compounds in at frame 5, that means that it will go out to frame 65 will be the last frame of the animation. So how do we make that happen? We're going to add frames at frame 100, so we have more than we need just in case. We're going to go back to frame, let's make that 65 so that it's correct, and we're going to select it, which means we're going to click in frame 65. We're going to add a keyframe. Remember what a keyframe is? We'll talk about that again. We're going to copy the compound, which is a movie clip, from frame 5, and we're going to paste it in frame 65. That's the keyframe. And then we're going to move it almost all the way across the gel. Next, we're going to delete the clip from frame 5. And now we only have one copy of the movie clip in frame 65. Before we deleted one, it was still there. Or 2 of them were there, excuse me. Now, to make it move, we're going to click in frame 30, which is an arbitrary choice. It's in between the beginning and the end of our animation. From the Insert menu, we're going to choose Timeline Motion Tween, and all of a sudden you'll see some changes. We're then going to save it, and then you can press Command and Enter all at once and watch the tweening occur. Once we have done that, I will go through the process again and do the second compound. All right, let's switch over to Flash. All right, here we are. I've got gel electro copy number 3. We have our compounds in frame 5, and here they all are. Remember that this guy is the mixture. Ooh, and it's all locked, so I can't do anything. That's a good deal. All right, now let's come out to frame 100. I'm going to click in the frame. I'm going to hold down my Shift key, click in the bottom layer, and now I'm going to go to Insert, timeline, and frame. And all of a sudden I get all these frames. Now I did this all at once so that everything will be visible all the time. And if you don't do this, you'll see what I mean. All right, now let's unlock everything and click on the red compound so we can find out where it is. Well, that's compound number 4. All right, so now I'm going to lock it all up, and then I'm going to unlock it, and there's compound number 4. I did that so I know which of these layers I need to work in. All right, I'm going to come out to frame 65. Now, how do I know? Well, I didn't. I got frame 66. It says so right there. So I want to come back one, and now it tells me right here that I'm in frame 65. It's going to move at 12.5 or 12 frames per second, and it says it's going to be a lapse time of 5.3. That's because of the original 5 frames we have there. Now I want to insert into the timeline a keyframe. All right, notice that I now have a keyframe, and that's because it already had content in it. But what I want to do here is I want to move this. I want to grab this, and I want to actually what I want to do, now we'll do it this way. We want to move this guy almost all the way across. All right, now if I click in frame 30 the way I asked you to, and I go insert timeline. Oh, before we do that, notice that when I moved from the keyframe with my compound all the way across back to frame 30, my compound is at the beginning as it was in frame 5. So now I want to insert into the timeline a motion tween, and with any luck this will make things move a bit. Oh yes, it did. All right, we know we're in luck because the color turns blue, I get an arrow, and I can see that the compound has moved part way across. So I'm going to go File, Save, and if you want to, you can go Control, Test Movie, and this says Command Enter will do the same thing. Boop. Now, it's processing, and there it is. And now it's going to repeat itself. Okay, it stops here, but it stays in that position till it gets to frame 100. Then it comes all the way back, and it goes through here where there is nothing, and then it plays again. All right, so that worked. Yay us. All right, so let's lock this layer. If we choose to unlock this, all right, this is now this compound. So again, we want to come out to frame 65. There's frame 65. We want to insert into the timeline a keyframe, and that's for compound number 3. Now, I'm making very arbitrary choices on movement. I'm going to move this one to the right, but I'm only going to move it part way. So I'm going to come over to here. It will move this distance in the same amount of time that the red moves all the way across because we're in the same frame. So now, clicking in between, I'm going to add a motion tween, and there it is. And so I'm going to save it, Command Enter, and you can see it moving at different rates.